Now can you hear me? There we go. Alright, let me just make sure that we are live. Obviously, you missed what I said at the beginning, so we'll say it again. The NFL season is over. Tonight, we are re-simulating the season. From preseason straight to the Super Bowl. And see if we can figure out if Seattle will win the Super Bowl again, or will a new path hit. So here are the rules of the simulation at this point. It's all computer versus computer. It's on all Madden. All the teams are run by CPUs. So I literally have nothing to do with any of it. So if there's trades, if there's injuries, the computer will strictly run the show with that. So we will see. All right, let's give me just 1 minute here to update everything here for a second, and then we will get going here with preseason. Actually, what I'll do is I will simulate the preseason. Nope. I forgot how to do this here. So we will simulate to the regular season. And at that point, we'll come in and we'll see what we've got. All right. All right, give me 1 minute. All right. See if anything has happened since we simulated. I am just updating some things here. So I think we'll go by team. And we can do so we can look at the traded. Alrighty. All right. Sorry, here we go. All right, so we will look at the traded. The Bears traded nobody. Yeah, nobody really. Let's see what they signed. Anybody worth anything here? I don't like this, so we'll go to all. Yeah, all seems to have everything here. All right, the Bears signed some players. Let's just go through here, see if there's anybody of note. Bengals. Bills released Derek Forrest. Dan Feeney was released. This really doesn't tell me anything. All right. So let's go. I'm not going to change any of the depth charts, but let's just check out the depth charts just to see quarterback-wise where we're at. Who won the starting quarterbacks from preseason? Especially when I look at the rookies. So the Bears, Caleb Williams is starting. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Bo Nix, Joe Flacco will start for the Browns. Although I have to remember that we've defaulted here to the start of the year rosters. So Flacco hasn't been traded to the Ravens, right? Was it the Ravens? We'll hear it in simulation mode here. It looks like Flacco, Pickett, Sanders starting at 3. Gabriel is down in the 4th. Mayfield will start in Tampa. All right, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. And don't forget, he is not injured. So if he stays healthy, where would he have been? That's if he stays healthy. Phillip Rivers will start for the Colts. Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott, Tua still in Miami. Jalen Hurts, Michael Penix. Michael Penix will start. Kirk Cousins is the backup. Brock Purdy. Russell Wilson starts in New York with Jameis Wilson at 3rd, or Winston at 3rd, and Jackson Dart 3rd string. We will see if Jackson Dart plays, but we'll see. Trevor Lawrence, of course, starting for the Jaguars. Justin Fields will start in New York. Goff and the Lions. Jordan Love and the Packers. Bryce Young and the Panthers. Drake May will start in New England. Geno Smith will in Vegas. Stafford. Okay, so here's an interesting piece. In preseason, Lamar Jackson, I can't remember, did Lamar get hurt? Either way, Lamar is injured. So Cooper Rush will start. Spencer Rattler will start in New Orleans. Sam Darnold, of course, will start for Seattle. Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. C.J. Stroud, Houston. Cam Ward in Tennessee. J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota. All right. So we're going to go week by week. We're just going to take our time. We're going to go week by week. We're going to go through the games. We're going to look at the stuff. And then what we will do is when we get to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, we'll actually live simulate in front of us here. And maybe even we will watch the finals minutes of the AFC, the NFC, and the Super Bowl, the championships, just to have a nice little celebration. We'll have a little celebration. And then if you guys want, we can, if there's time, I don't know what the time will look like, but then we can simulate like 5 years in the future and get the essential next 5 winners if we want. But the main thing here tonight is to simulate the season. And that's what we're going to do. We are in week 1. It's hard to even say anything here, so we will force advance. Once again, I am doing nothing, so we will see how we started off the year. So let's check out the weekly recap for week 1. Oh, no replies. Why is that not? Well, that sucks. Well, that sucks. Well, then let's just check out the schedule. And we'll go from there, guys. We won't check out every week, but we'll do a little bit of here. Cowboys lost to the Eagles in the opener on Thursday. On Friday, the Chiefs beat the Chargers. Browns beat the Bengals. Titans blanked the Broncos. Surprising. And we will watch the Super Bowl teams, New England and Seattle, just to see where they fall into the resimulation. So let's check out where they are. All right. So the Patriots beat the Raiders. And the Seahawks lost to the San Francisco 49ers. So there is the week 2 here right in front of us here. San Francisco, New Orleans there on the left side there. New England's in Miami. Philadelphia, Kansas City. That'll be one that we'll check out afterwards. And we will go from there. So now we will advance it to week 3. All right. So now we can check out the games here for week 2. Some notable areas here. First, check out the Super Bowl teams. New England is 1-1. Seattle is 0-2. Denver 0-2. Kansas City at 2-0. Indy at 2-0, like they seemingly were this year. Cleveland at 1-1. Cincy at 1-1. Baltimore is at 1-1. And the Steelers are 2-0 with Aaron Rodgers. Buffalo at 2-0 as well. So some surprising, some not. Let's simulate again. So the next week. We're simulating here is week 4. All right, some noticeable here. Patriots under 500. Carolina at 3-0, as you can see there. Tampa Bay at 3-0. What else? Pittsburgh and Minnesota, both winning records at this point. Buffalo at 3-0. The Raiders at 2-1. And Seattle, where's Seattle? I don't see them. Are they in a bye? There shouldn't be a bye in week 4. Really? Already? All right. Well, Seattle's in a bye. And as we can see, Seattle is 0-3. Seattle is 0-3 so far in this season. Moving ahead to week 5. Noticeable, the Rams are 3-1. Dallas 3-1. Tampa Bay at 4-0. New England at 1-3. And they are going to Buffalo at 4-0. Cleveland at 1-3, Minnesota 3-1. Denver climb back to 2-2. Vegas 3-1. Detroit and Kansas City both at 4-0. Jacksonville surprisingly at 1-3, and Carolina at 4-0. Seattle at 1-3. All right, we will simulate to the next week, which is week number 6. Philadelphia at 1-4, surprisingly. Seattle 2-3. Jacksonville 2-3. San Francisco, quick 3-0 start. They've dropped 2. They're at 3-2. Tampa Bay 4-1. Tennessee 3. Madden likes Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee is always booming. Detroit at 5-0. Chicago, there we go, 0-4 for Chicago. Denver climbed back over 500. They're at 3-2. They're starting to pick up a little steam. Pittsburgh has finally been defeated. They're at 3-1. New England at 1-4. Buffalo still undefeated at 5. I know Kansas City, as you can see, they lost as well. They are at 4-1, taking on 5-0 Lions. Actually, you know what? That looks like a good one here. Let's go to Detroit or Kansas City here, and we're gonna simulate. Guys, we got all night, so I'm just here to simulate the top games. This seems to be a top game. It's a Sunday nighter, Detroit and Kansas City, and we're gonna fast simulate until the last fourth quarter or whatever, and then we'll kind of watch it if it's a close one. Could be a blowout. We don't really know yet, but let's get into it. All right. Not really worried about all this celebrational stuff. We're going to simulate to the end of the game, but we will stop it if we have to. Detroit and Kansas City. Detroit 5-0, Kansas City 4-1. Kansas City takes the early lead here in the second quarter. I gotta watch the time here. This looks to be a closer. Detroit up 13-10. 13-17, 20-17. 36 seconds to go. Let's see. Let's watch the end of the game here. Oh, Detroit's. Yeah, game over. I don't know why I did that. All right, it looks like Detroit.
Visitors, the Lions. They continue to be the hottest team in the NFL here in the first couple of months of the season.
That was my fault, guys.
They remain unbeaten.
I didn't read the right sign. Either way, Detroit stays undefeated here in the simulation. They beat the Chiefs. So now let's head to week number 7. All right, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, Miami and Cleveland. New England is 1-5. Denver at 4-2. Green Bay 3-2. San Francisco has dropped 3 in a row, I believe. They're at 3-3. Houston at 2-2. Seattle at 3-3. Jacksonville at 2-4. Carolina still undefeated at 6-0. Chicago 0-5. Let's see, on Detroit, Tampa Bay on Monday night, it looks like. So now let's get through this week and see what the next week is going to be. As we get to week 8. All right, the Chargers are 4-3. Philadelphia slowly crawling back to 5-0. San Francisco finally broke their 3-game losing streak, and they won last week, so they are 4-0. Buffalo 5-1. Carolina finally lost. They are 6-1. Tampa Bay at 5-2. Denver, Kansas City is at 4-3. Kansas City has taken a huge hit back at 1-3. New England at 1-6. They're taking on the Browns, so that could go either way. Baltimore at 3-3. Chicago at 0-6. Let's check injuries. Let's just see if there's any kind of. Where's that manage? Let's just look at injury reports for the teams. Let's see if there's any major at this point. For the Chiefs, you can see there right there. For the Colts, they got a lot on their squad here. Washington, Dallas, CeeDee Lamb he's week to week. The Dolphins, they lost their center. Eagles, San Francisco. San Francisco has lost George Kittle for 3 to 7 weeks for a dislocated hip. Giants, Jets, Lions, Packers. Carolina has lost both running backs, it looks like. Brooks is out for the year, and Hubbard is week to week with the pulled groin, so we'll see what happens with him. For the Patriots, well, here's a reason why they're wow. 1, 2, 3. 3 of their players here, 4 if you count Epps, could be out for the rest of the year. Raiders with no injuries. All right, so Lamar Jackson is back for Baltimore. No quarterbacks are out. Oh, as I say this, Will Levis is out for Tennessee. Broncos have lost Nick Bonato. And the Browns have lost their guys. Mike Evans is out for 2 to 4 weeks, which is why Tampa Bay seems to maybe be slipping. All right. All right, so here's week 6. Yeah, that's right, we talked about this already. Let's simulate ahead. Now we are headed to week 9. We are at week 9. We are halfway through the year here in the resimulation. Here is the slate of games for week 9. As you can see, New England apparently lost to the Cleveland Browns. They are 1-7, but as we just saw, half their team is on the injury report. Detroit still rocking at 7-0. Kansas City at 5-3. They're going to Buffalo at 6-1. Chicago at 1-6. Seattle at 3-4. Let's check out so far the stats for the year as we get into the midway point. All right, your top passer for yards. Let's just start there. Yards, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott. are the 3. I'm sorry, the 4 over 2,000 yards. Top touchdown is Patrick Mahomes. Bo Nix at 20. Jordy Love at 18. Who has thrown the most interceptions? Jaden Daniels. Drake May at 10. And who's been sacked the most? That'll tell us a lot as well. Joe Burrow has been sacked the most, followed by Cam Ward and Dak Prescott. Drake May. Joe Flacco with 21. Apparently Flacco is still shooting for the quarterbacking for the Browns, 13-4. Just I like to be curious. Your top rusher, yard-wise, is Saquon Barkley. Touchdowns is Saquon by a lot. Receiving yards for the Rams. And who is the top? Troy Franklin and Brandon Ayuk, as well as Rashee Rice, are your 3 top touchdowns. Defensively, the most tackles in the league is Sherwood from the Jets. Let's check out the sack race. Scorson with 10. The Myles Garrett has 4.5. Interesting, huh? Most interceptions in the league is a 3-way tie. Matt Milano, Cody Barton, and Marshawn Lattimore. So there we have it so far. Check out the standings. Once again, we are halfway through the year. The AFC North looks like this. Very tight race between all 4 teams, essentially. The AFC South. The East. The Bills pretty much have it wrapped up, I would think, but the Dolphins are right there, and the Patriots at 1-7. Raiders. I mean, this division's a toss-up. The NFC North. The South. The Panthers and the Buccaneers are tied at 6-2. In the East, the Commanders are 4-4, the Eagles are 4-4, the Cowboys are 4-4, the Giants hanging on at 2-6, and in the NFC West, the 49ers lead that with the Rams and Seahawks and Cardinals. All right, let's start the second half of the year as we go to Week 10. All right, Week 10, here we go. Big matchup in Denver where the Vegas Raiders head to Denver. Chicago at 1-7, New England 1-8. Jacksonville 3-5, Houston, Jackson 5. The Rams and San Francisco both 5 and 6-3 respectively. Pittsburgh has cooled down there at 5-3. Cleveland 3-5. Buffalo at 6-2. Detroit still undefeated. As we head into Week 11. Let's check out Week 11. All right, looks like the Patriots got their second win of the year. Houston at 4-5, Tennessee at 5-4. Tennessee starting to cool down. Chargers at 6-4. Tampa back at 6-3. They're taking on 6-3 Buffalo. Seattle at 4-5, starting to make a move. Cleveland at 4-5. Baltimore 5-4. See what else. San Francisco at 6-4, Denver at 5-5, Kansas City at 6-3, Philly at 5-4, and the Lions at 9-0. Apparently, the Lions were picked. Hello, Jessica. How are you? All right, next week. Here we are. Buffalo at 6-4, Houston at 4-6, starting to make a run. Philly at 5-5, Dallas at 5-5. So that means that Detroit is 10-0. Kansas City beat Denver. They're at 7-3. Denver on a bye, as I'm seeing. Seattle at 4-6. New England at 3-8. Let's check out now week 13. Week 13, things are starting to get a little more clearer. We haven't hit the playoff rankings yet. That'll, I think, it starts next week. But either way, Green Bay at 7-4, Detroit at 11-0. Cincy and Baltimore are one game apart from each other. The Rams and Carolina. Carolina's cooled down, haven't they? Jacksonville 4-7, Buffalo at 7-4, Denver 5-6, Kansas City 8-3, Philadelphia's back over 500, Cleveland at 4-7, taking on San Francisco. Big one right there in the AFC West. The Raiders and the Chargers both at 7-4. All right, we can check out the first playoff picture as of right now. And let's check it out right now. The playoffs are to start today. Here we go. Kansas City with the number 1 seed in the AFC. Buffalo, Tennessee, Cincinnati, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Baltimore. In the NFC, Detroit, number 1, followed by Tampa, San Francisco, Philadelphia, the Rams, Packers, and the Commanders. Detroit still undefeated at 12-0. Cleveland at 4-8. They are running out of time. Pittsburgh has dropped under 500. They are 5-7. Remember when they were booming at undefeated? So very interesting turn of events here from real life at this point. Let's get to week 15. All right. Let's view the playoff picture. For the AFC, it looks virtually about the same. Cincinnati now has snuck in at the 6th seed, Baltimore at the 4th seed. And in the NFC, the Falcons have snuck in. San Francisco at number 3, Washington at 6. So interesting changes week by week by week. Games for the day. Let's look at them real fast. Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Cleveland at 4-9. They are running out of time. Seattle 5-8. San Francisco at 9-4. Detroit finally lost. They are 12-1. They are taking on the Rams at 8-5. So let's keep moving now to week 16 as we get closer and closer to the end of this simulation. All right, the playoff picture. Tennessee takes over the number 2 spot. Other than that, the teams haven't really changed. And in the NFC, things have changed. The Rams have now entered the conversation. But Detroit still holds on to that number 1 seed in the NFC. Here's the teams. Here's the games essentially for the week. Jacksonville at Denver. Detroit at 13-1. Buffalo 9-5. This is definitely not definitely odd to see at this point, considering of what we just played. New England making a run. They are 5-9, but I think they will also run out of time. We head to week 17 in our simulation. If the playoffs ended today, there we go. Let's check it out. Buffalo is taking over the number 2 seed. They will meet Denver, who has seemingly snuck in past the Chargers, it appears. And in the NFC, same 7 teams, just reshuffled a little bit. Washington and the Rams flipped from last week. Detroit still holding on to that number 1 seed. Kansas City, surprisingly, still holding on to their number 1 seed, considering how they started. 14-1, the Detroit Lions. Baseball's already on the mind. I got about a month to go before baseball hits. So we're already thinking about some baseball stuff. Pittsburgh has cooled down. They are 5-10. Amazing start, but they have cooled off. Now let's head to the final week of the year. Week 18. All right, if the playoffs started today, where would we go? Let's start with the NFC. NFC is the Cowboys have snuck in. Remember, it was the Commanders. So it looks like Dallas has, as of right now, snuck in. And we will see. Buffalo remains number 2. It looks like Denver's out. And Los Angeles is in. Everyone else just kind of reshuffled a little bit in the East, in the AFC. All right. Here are the games for Week 18. Big games here. Big games, and they're all over the place. Let's check on the left side there. Washington and Philadelphia. Big game, obviously, for Washington. Washington has to win, and Dallas has to lose in New York. Same way I would say if you look on the right-hand side there for the Chargers and the Broncos. The Chargers beat the Broncos. The Chargers get in. If Denver can beat the Chargers, Denver could sneak in to the 8th seed. I tell you who doesn't have to sneak in is Detroit. They are 15-1. Kansas City at 13-3. So let's force ahead to Wild Card Weekend. But in the meantime, we will, before we check out the standings and before we check out all those exciting months here, let's check out the NFL standings. And we're just going to go division by division. The Ravens at 11-6, and the Bengals at 10-7. Steelers lost huge. They started off so fast. And the Browns at 5-12. The AFC South, the Titans. Man, Madden loves these Titans, man. Titans at 10-7. They will sneak into the playoffs as they win the division. Texans at 6-11. Buffalo, the only team from the AFC East, and they will get into the playoffs at 12-5. There you can see the real life AFC defending champions. The New England Patriots, they were and are at 7-10. They did not make the playoffs. And in the West, Chiefs, Raiders, and Chargers all made the playoffs. The Denver Broncos at 8-9. For the NFC North, it looks like the Lions will get in at 16-1. Let me just head back up to the FC. You see the Bears at 4-13 after the Bears' magical season this year. The Buccaneers and the Falcons will get in, and the Panthers will not. Eagles and the Cowboys will get in. They had a 10-7 record, but they'll get into the playoffs. And the Commanders at 8-9 will not. Did I not? I'm sorry. And then in the NFC West, I'm sorry. The Niners will win the division at 11-6, and the Rams will get in. And the Seahawks at 7-10. They will not get into the playoffs. So the defending Super Bowl champions will not get in. Let's view the playoff bracket, shall we? Here is the bracket. The AFC looks essentially the way it was, but we got Buffalo, Los Angeles, Baltimore, Las Vegas, and the Titans will host the Bengals. In the NFC, the Lions will take the first number 1 seed. It will be Dallas, Tampa Bay, Rams, Niners, Falcons, Eagles. So we're going to force ahead to the divisional as we welcome the 2 top seeds. Let's view the playoff bracket as I take a drink. All right. Excuse me. In the AFC, it looks like we are going to go to the AFC West and the AFC North. For the divisional round, Kansas City will host the Chargers, and the Ravens will host the Bengals. Over in the NFC, Dallas goes to Detroit, and Atlanta will head to San Francisco. Let's head now to the conference championships. And who do we got? All right. We have... Okay, I'm a little surprised here, but we'll go for it. Baltimore heads to Kansas City, and we'll check out that game. But in the NFC, the Lions and the Falcons. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, looks like Detroit and the Falcons will be the first team. Falcons. And now we're going to simulate it. So the Falcons are surprising, as they will make it to the NFC Championship against Detroit. Simulate by quarters here. the end of the first quarter, it is 14-0 Detroit. They're up 17, 17-3, 17-6, 24-6. I think we can safe to say to simulate now to the end of the game. And unless Atlanta makes a run, yeah.
So it's a win here for the Lions. As
So the Detroit Lions will go to the Super Bowl.
The George Halas Trophy, champions of.
So Detroit will win the Super Bowl. Will win the NFC. They will head to the Super Bowl. And we will head to Kansas City for the AFC Championship game between the Ravens and the Chiefs. Now don't forget, this is a resimulation of the series. And so the Ravens and the Chiefs.
It's one of the loudest stadiums in the National Football League.
I would argue, we would assume that, yeah, this is Lamar versus Mahomes. At the end of the first quarter, Baltimore's up 3-0. Now we will simulate to halftime. 3-0 again. Oh, this is gonna get interesting. 6-0. 6-0 heading into the fourth quarter. I've got my finger on the button. 14-7, 17-7. Yep, game is over. Baltimore will win the AFC.
They are off to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks as champions of the AFC.
All right. So we're going to sim to the Super Bowl because we're not really worried about, not worried, that's the wrong word. We're not really concerned about the Pro Bowl. All right, Super Bowl. Super Bowl 60. The Lions and the Ravens. So according to Madden, and according to the football gods, if you will, the Ravens and the Lions is what our Super Bowl should have been this year. So that's what the Super Bowl should have been. So Madden says Baltimore and the Lions is our re-simulated Super Bowl. All right. So let's play it. All right, once again, we're going to play it, but we're going to simulate it. And we will go from there.
matchup on tap. Tonight, it is all on the line. We play for the Lombardi Trophy, as it'll be the AFC champion Baltimore Ravens taking on the NFC champions, the Detroit Lions. Brandon Young along with Charles Davis, and what a season it's been for our AFC champions. And this was a fight just to get to the Super Bowl. You got to figure that they are very battle-tested and ready.
I agree with you 100% about that. You don't get there without having those types of attributes, and that's what you look for in a Super Bowl team. Character, confidence. These guys are now they're here. Now they're ready to win.
Meanwhile, our NFC champions, they have gone through a lot to get where they are. Everybody knows their story.
All right. So we are going to so we're going to simulate now. So we're going to simulate to the next quarter. Detroit up 10-0. Baltimore 10-3. A quick, fast first quarter. All right, halftime it will be 17-10. Let's check out the third quarter here. Baltimore has tied it up. All right, 20-17. I'm going to stop it with a minute left, hopefully. Hope if I can move it fast enough. All right, 44 seconds left. And we are going to watch it to the end now. 44 seconds left. That's right. Here we go. Can Baltimore win the Super Bowl? Let's check it out.
First down, here's Mitchell. And they string that play out nicely. He stopped before he can turn upfield. No gain, second down. Now Jackson. Got his man complete over the middle. It's Mitchell. And he's going to be taken down here with a penalty flag on the field. They'll come up now. This is second and long. Here's Jackson. Connecting with Andrews. And he'll be out of bounds just shy of the 40. So this is certainly a tough test here in the early career of the rookie kicker. The Lions will use the first of their timeouts. That'll leave them with 2 remaining. We'll be back after this. And now this game's going to come down to the right leg of their kicker. This undoubtedly the biggest kick of his life. And that is no good. Oh, he hit it well from distance, but he couldn't work it back in. This is first and 10. And a costly one there as this game remains tied here in the 4th.
Boy, that's a big-time letdown there. You work yourself in position to win the game, but the kick winds up no good. And now you've got to regroup as a team, get the energy back up, and get ready for overtime. And make sure you pump him up, too. He may be needed to try and win it again later.
So it's the Ravens who won the toss. They'll get the football first here in overtime as the kick is away. Spins away. And makes it across the 20 as his guys will set up shop at the 23-yard line. Baltimore about ready to go on offense. Well, CD certainly doesn't get any more exciting than this. Overtime in the postseason. Of course, keep in mind things are different than the old way it was. In the playoffs now, both teams guaranteed a possession, so a touchdown here, if they get one, the ball game will not be over.
And partners, we both know many people called for this change before, and they finally got it. After the Buffalo-Kansas City Classic in the 2022 playoffs, Patrick Mahomes and KC, they score first. Game over. Josh Allen and Bills never touched the football, and people hated that. Now if the game reaches OT, every playoff team has a chance to fight to extend their season. So the plan has got to be, you win the toss and you take the ball, reach the end zone and score, and put as much pressure on your opponent as possible to try and win a game in OT in the playoffs.
Off the play fake. Here's Jackson. Throw left side complete. That's Ali. And he is out of bounds inside the 30. From the gun, it's Jackson. Nowhere to go here. He lost the football. And this is scooped up by the Lions. And now, meanwhile, after the dust settles on the fumble, we've got an injured player here as well. Well, now they're going to come out and take a look at this injury, and we'll be back in a moment. Goff and this Lions offense set for a 1st and 10. Right at the 30. Now a first throw here in overtime. Gibbs gets popped and he loses the football. And this will be scooped up by the defense. And a costly mistake. Coaches talk so much about ball security, and in overtime, so paramount.
Partner, do you ever wonder if maybe they talk about it too much?
Too much, yeah.
Doesn't seem like you can, but maybe by discussing it time and time again, and you know they overemphasized it here, it almost became self-fulfilling.
And any points beat them here. Field goal or a touchdown now. Oh, they go with a tight end carry. A pickup of about 3 yards as he's taken down at the 31. Now, do you try for more yardage or get to the spot that your kicker wants? Here's 2nd down. Now a first carry for their fullback. And he's going to be hemmed in and brought down right at the line of scrimmage. Again, it's Ricard, the fullback. And this play will be blown up. He'll lose yardage back at the 38. Disaster there, resulting in a loss of 7 on 3rd down.
Those big ends don't really care what the play call is. Big pass, RPO, handoff, whatever. Their job, get behind the line of scrimmage every play and run down whoever has the ball. Mission accomplished there.
And now the Lions going to stop us momentarily as they call a timeout. So as they head to the sidelines, we'll head to this break on EA Sports. So this is certainly a tough test here in the early career of the rookie kicker. And his kick is good. The field goal is through the uprights, and they've won the Super Bowl. And it's all over. Just one is left standing, and that one is the Baltimore Ravens, your Super Bowl champions. And when this moment comes, I think you look back at all the blood, sweat, and tears, the offseason, the workouts, training camp, week 1, 2, 3, all building up now to say you're a Super Bowl champion. It's worth it.
It certainly is, and rarely do we have a team that hoists the Lombardi Trophy that didn't have their share of bumps along the way, didn't have to face some adversity in the journey, and now they get to just enjoy it and revel in it. And all offseason, they'll be signing their autographs with Super Bowl champion underneath it.
There's Commissioner Goodell set to hand the Lombardi Trophy to the Baltimore Ravens. They are your Super Bowl 60 champions. So that'll conclude another captivating season of the NFL on EA Sports. So for Charles Davis and all the hardworking men and women on our crew, I'm Brandon Gaudin saying good night from Santa Clara.
So we had the mixed the missed field goal with seconds left. That sent the game to overtime. We had a big run by Lamar, 2 fumbles, and then the field goal to take it in. So the final is this is how your season was supposed to go, with the Baltimore Ravens winning the Super Bowl. Let's check. Let's jump ahead real fast here to the season recap, and here it is. Here is your recap. Here's what could have and should have been, according to Madden. The Ravens defeat the Lions 30-27. Lamar James is your Super Bowl MVP. The Ravens win their 3rd Super Bowl championship. Patrick Mahomes is the NFL MVP. Coach of the Year is Dan Campbell. Puka Naka is the Offensive Player of the Year. The Defensive Player of the Year is Max Crosby. Ashton Genty is the Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Shamar Stewart was the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Guys, this will do it. I'll post this up on the socials, but there it is. After we resimmed the season, the Ravens are your Super Bowl champions. That'll do it for the NFL here on the channel as of now. We will start with baseball starting in about a month, but we will continue with basketball. We're going to look at the NHL coming back from the Olympics. So there's a lot more sports to go. Don't worry about that here. And we will see Madden back in the fall. So this is it for the finale. The Ravens are your resimmed Super Bowl champions. Now that was a good year. Guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see football back in the fall, but I'll see you guys soon on the channel.